Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and everybody in between, welcome to another episode of the Chaps Chat Cats, a part of the Hoops Crew Media Network. My name's Jake, and I'm joined in the virtual studio for the best time of your week by Sambo and Johnny. How are we, chaps?
Fan-bloody-tastic.
Good.
Can't complain.
Like the energy. Johnny, looks like you, at a guess, pulled a late night drive back from Geelong, went to work all day after staying up till past midnight to watch the F1s. Am I close?
I did.
What a guess.
Well, you were there with me in the car, driving.
Had some inside info.
You had some inside info, and I do remember telling you, yes, by the time we get home, F1s will be on. And what do you know? Time I got home, 20 minutes until the race started. Unfortunately, it didn't go the way of Oscar. But
not beautiful.
It happens. Tough track to pass on. Just 5 laps ago, he had a chance and just went in a bit hot, locked up his tyres in the second last lap, and then didn't have enough time to be able to get back. And he still leads championship. They're off for a 4-week break, and I've got a feeling he's going to come back after that 4-week break pretty fired up to get some more better results. So I think the last races are going to be good.
We definitely need to jump back on some Jake Botel Sports Experience F1 episodes, Johnny. I did watch the 28-minute KO mini with Dad this morning, so it was exciting, and he did have his chances. I thought credit to Norris. He defended pretty well around those final corners to hold his lead, but it was a good race.
Good race by Lando Norris. A lot of people on the interwebs are saying it's sabotage, that they sabotaged Oscar's race. I am not one of those people. I think it was just a good. There's right call for both drivers, both strategies, and if they had another maybe 3 laps, Oscar would have got past Lando. So yeah, just wasn't to be. It happens. These things happen. But not here to talk F1s.
Well, no, but you know what? Our Patreon subscriber Morris will be very happy. It's like the Venn diagram of Morris's interests definitely overlapping here.
If he's still watching after John was merciless on him for watching Drive to Survive.
No, I wasn't merciless on him watching Drive to Survive. I was merciless on him for watching Drive to Survive and then expecting F1s to be like Drive to Survive.
I think we've totally misrepresented Morris's position on this on the podcast. But he did message me on Patreon.
Can you please get John to leave me alone?
Tell Johnny tell John to pull his fucking head in. No, he did. Morris did say he's still watching the F1s, John. So he wasn't just a bandwagon Drive to Survive. Watching the F1s, very much enjoying. He followed your advice. I can't remember who you told him he should jump on as his favorite driver. But whoever it was, he
pick a driver.
Pick a driver. I said you just got to pick a driver, a team, and focus on them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. That's the best way to do it. Pick someone.
Well, he's having fun watching Morris. So Morris, hope you enjoyed this little
good work.
This little mini F1 episode. Sambo, you look like somebody who maybe got, I don't know, maybe more sleep last night on a holiday than you might have expected, than you might have bargained for.
I did.
Is that accurate?
Yeah, I had a very good kip. I fell asleep at like 9 o'clock, which is about 3.5 hours earlier than I'll normally go to bed. And pretty much slept all the way through till the kids woke at 7 o'clock. So that's a pretty good innings, I reckon.
That's rare for you.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. Sleep early and up slightly
Speaking
later.
of people who won on the weekend.
Your mum.
Excellent. Hey, all right. On the show tonight. Jeez, Cats fans, we're lucky we get to talk about another win as the Cats pummel the Power in round 21 down at Kardinia Park. We were there. In fact, the whole Hoops crew were there. Got to catch up with Ben and Paul. Sambo has reset the standards of affection within the group. Brought Ben in for a big old man hug. And after that, it did. I felt like it broke the ice. Big man hug. Then Paul came in, got the triple hug from the Chaps. So I think we're officially a hugging YouTube channel now, Chaps.
May God have mercy on our souls.
I specifically, though, I will say, you said man hug. You made it. You covered it in glory. It probably didn't deserve. When I brought Ben in, I specifically said, "Give me a cuddle." Okay, so it was specifically a cuddle.
Sam, that's not very alpha of you.
I like it.
No, not at all.
That's very alpha, actually. I think that's the true alpha.
subverted.
Like the Andrew Tates of the world wouldn't be happy with that. But the actual alphas, no. There's nothing wrong with a man cuddle.
With a little cuddle.
It all happened. So there's
what's
better than a nice cuddle 1,000 blossoms blooming. Exactly. A cuddle on the concourse at Kardinia Park. Yeah. No, it was very nice. It was great to witness, Sam. You really you created a moment. We'll always remember it.
Until next week.
I finally contributed something of worth.
Well done.
The Hoops Crew, officially a hugging podcast. And if you want to be specific, officially a cuddling podcast. Mm-hmm. All right. On the show tonight, the Cats pummel the Power in round 21. Then we're off to Patreon. We'll talk some extra notes from the game. We'll look ahead to round 22. We'll also catch up on a little bit of news from the AFLW, the season only a couple of weeks, less than 2 weeks away, in fact. So we'll talk just briefly about that. But before we get into anything, Chaps, we need to say a big Hoops Crew Media Network thank you to our network sponsor. They are, of course, Cyril Cook Florist. So make sure you go on over, visit them at www.cyrilcookflorist.com.au. Give them a buzz on 035 222 2244 or visit them at shop 1211 Leather Street in Breakwater. If, when you are placing your order online, mention Go Cats in the field at checkout, in the voucher field at checkout, and you will get 20% off your next purchase. 20%. Now, there's the back half of the year, there's things coming up. We've still got Father's Day to come up. All right? There's still things happening. Johnny, as a chef. Exactly. You know, you're always marking off the major holidays as they arrive. You know there's big events still on the calendar. So make use of your listening/watching proclivities and get 20% off just for saying Go Cats when you shop at Cyril Cook Florist. We thank them massively for their sponsorship. It's time, chaps. It's time to jump in. The Cats pummeled the Power, and this is how it happened. Round 9, 2024 at Kardinia Park. The siren sounds on a chilly Friday night in May as Port Adelaide cling on for a 15-11 101 to 14-11 95 victory after a powerful late surge from the Cats falls agonisingly short. As former Cat, now Port coach Ken Hinkley left the bench, he turned to the Geelong crowd, spread his arms wide, gave a smug smile at his former fans. The loss was only Geelong's second of the season, and it allowed Port to close the gap on the top four. For Hinkley, it seemed in the moment to be a definitive triumph that he revelled in. For those of us on this podcast, we kind of thought it was just a minor blip on the radar. The town always wins. Fast forward 15 months, the siren sounds on a chilly Sunday evening in August as Geelong emphatically put an end to their encounters with the Ken Hinkley Power with a dominant 23-15 153 to 9-11 65 victory. Since that night in May last year, Chris Scott's Cats have clashed 3 times with Port Adelaide, twice in Adelaide and once in Geelong. The combined scores of those games stands at 406 to 158 in Geelong's favour, an average winning margin of 82 points for the team in hoops. In the qualifying final last year, the Scott Cats broke Port Adelaide. They twisted the knife a few months ago at the Adelaide Oval, and on Sunday afternoon, they signed their work in blood, and not their own. To their credit, a wounded Port Adelaide team came out fighting. They laid a staggering 30 first quarter tackles to Geelong's 16 and were dangerous when they fashioned entries inside 50. The scores at the first change of ends was 3-5-23 to 3-5-23, and a few Port fans around us seemed a little bullish, albeit with an extreme sense of caution. The town, after all, always wins. The second quarter arrived, and slowly but surely the team in hoops began meticulously turning the screws. Pressure lifted noticeably, and ball movement from back to front began to take on a more dangerous, alarm bell ringing undertone. By halftime, the gap was 30 points. A well-held Jeremy Cameron had booted 4 goals, and the game as a contest was teetering on the brink. In the third term, Geelong applied a Leonidas-forced Spartan sandal to their opponent's windpipe to send a teetering contest to the grave. Cameron went goalless. The Cats did not. Run, dash, and dare to the fore as the Cats began to perform malicious explorative surgery on Port Adelaide's defensive structures. Shannon Neal split the uprights twice in the opening 6 minutes of the quarter. Brad Close added his name to the score sheet before a very solid Mitch Georgiades fired a shot back for the visitors. That seemed to annoy the Cats as they pushed the kill lever all the way to obliterate, adding 6 goals in the final 15 minutes of the third term. Shannon Neal and Max Holmes kicking truly either side of a light-speed 4 goals in 5 minutes burst from discarded Carlton player Jack Martin. The town, Chaps, always wins. The opening half of the final term meandered. The deal was done, the 4 points and percentage was salted away. The Cats wrestled with whether to push down on the accelerator or stick the cue in the rack. Mitch Georgiades took his tally for the afternoon to 3, with 2 majors in the opening 10 minutes, before the Cats decided that they did indeed want more. The home team kicked 6 of the game's final 8 goals to storm away to an 88-point win. Barring a disaster of nuclear meltdown proportions, finals are secured for the Cats, but with a glut of teams still vying for the double chance of the top 4, Geelong held serve for another week, as teams like the Giants, Hawks, and Pies dropped points at a crucial moment. Farewell to Ken Hinkley's Port Adelaide. We'll always remember your celebrations in round 10 last year. They'll remain in my mind as a sweet reminder of how the paths of our teams would diverge. Zach Butters getting stuck into Cam Guthrie post-siren last year is a delightful after-dinner mint, as O'Sheen Mullen reluctantly emptied you out of his pocket at the end of the game on Sunday. Statistically, Chaps, of course, the town doesn't always win. But geez, it feels like we do most of the time. Cats 23-15, 153 to 9-11-65. Johnny, you wanted to see a flogging in person, and on Sunday the Cats delivered. I'll go to you for your opening thoughts on the match.
Yeah, I haven't been to Cardinia Park to see a big flogging before. They've always been painfully close games that we have won each time they've been there, which is sometimes better, but I've just wanted to see the Cats really tear into someone. And it was great to see them tear into Port Adelaide in that second half. Great intro again, Jake, as always. Fantastic setup nicely, and he built up even better. But yeah, that first half was a bit of a frustration bubbling under the surface of just going, if we can just kick straight, this game would nearly be put to bed. But underneath all that, after that second quarter, myself, you, Ben, Paul, and Sam, I think you were there. Yeah, you were there by that point. We all agreed that just felt like the third quarter was going to be a bit of an onslaught. It just felt like the Cats were really getting on top, and Port was just struggling to keep that high pressure up. And yeah, we did. We turned the screws extremely tight on them, and just dominated from the third and all the way through the fourth, except for that brief period where they got those three quick goals. But yeah, apart from that, fantastic game. And I'm pretty Jack Martin broke the record for this century, the quickest 4-goal burst in 5 minutes 19 seconds. That was exhilarating to watch. That was great fun to watch him just do that. I couldn't believe it. We couldn't believe it. I was like, that 4 in 2 minutes. It was exciting to watch. Painful for Carlton fans if they were watching to see yet another Carlton player to come to the Cats and remake his career and making a good impact at another team. But yeah, apart from that, like I thought every player looked really good. Like even when Port was applying high pressure and really pressuring in their forward half, I don't think we saw many Cats not like put their head down or get frustrated at themselves or teammates or anyone else. They're just like, got to keep going, got to work through this pressure and we'll break them. And just, yeah, it felt like it was a work of attrition for the Cats to get through this Port's pressure, and then it would be easy sailing. And that's what it was. A well organized, well structured, well planned out team win, I thought. And I think the stats backed up pretty well.
It's interesting, just on the kicking part of it, before I flick to you, Sambo. Geelong kick 38 scores on the night, 23 goals, 15. First half was 8 goals, 11 from 19 scoring shots. Second half was 15 goals, 4. So it literally felt like once Geelong found their kicking boots, this was going to be over real quick. Sambo, what were your thoughts and takeaways from the game as a whole?
About what I expected. I think this is maybe 2, if not 20 something weeks in a row where I'll say I called it. No, I'm not sure. I think there's been a couple this year.
No one likes to show off, Sam.
There's been I'm not even
when
saying
it falls in
right.
our way, I like it.
All I'm saying is I was saying I was right that many times. The worst kind of show off. No receipts. No, there's definitely been some recaps this year where I've gone, I did not see it going that way. But this one, I just realized, sorry, there's a speaker connected to the kids' room, and it's literally playing like their audio right next to my microphone. So I'll stop that in a moment. It's connected to their room. In the preview, I had done the research and seen that they had a lot of injuries, and I did say I felt like it was going to be a blowout. Felt like they'd come out with a bit of fire, a bit of vigor, and they did. But we more or less walked away with it in the back end. Which when I found you guys, because we were separated in the first half of the game, when I found you guys towards the end of the second, you and I, John, chatted about it and did sort of come to the conclusion that it was about to, like you said, they were about to lay over, which they did. I will just add on the Jack Martin thing. They corrected Scotty in his presser where he said that it was the quickest in history, and that was like it's quickest in the century. And Scotty said, were they keeping records before this century of how fast people were kicking goals? Which is probably I don't know the answer, but he was a bit prickly about it. And I've just seen that I was trying to find a definitive answer on that, and in the chat, in like the Reddits and that, I've seen someone going, God, a former pick number 1, 30 years old, comes out and kicks 4 goals. I wonder how much the Geelong had to trade for this guy. And they were like, I hope it wasn't too much. And then someone else is in there said they played on Jack Martin in the under 15s and he was doing that to them routinely.
Jesus. Well, the good thing is they cost us as much as that guy's opinion on Reddit. Absolutely nothing.
Yeah, exactly. And I just thought that was such a good moment. Like, obviously, we want to talk, you want to talk in broader strokes about the whole game. Like, but just to touch on the Jack Martin thing, like, isn't it awesome when you can tell, like, a crowd knows when something is happening? Like, when something like big is happening. Like every time he took a mark and was going for it, it just got louder and louder. And I love those moments. I think we've talked about it on the pod before when you get it in Test cricket when a bowler is like on song, is beating the bat every time, and as that bowler is running in, the level of anticipation and expectation in the crowd just gets bigger and bigger, and that's what it was like watching Jack Martin in the Ford 50 in that 5 minutes. It was just like once he'd kicked 2, the crowd just was like sensing that he was the magnet, and the noise level and excitement level just rose with it. So much fun to be a part of. And I did think it was funny that
you
go.
What if he's go?
I don't know if it's more delayed than usual, but I did, yeah. I was just gonna say, it legitimately changed like the calls, everyone around us saying kick it to Jez, kick it to Jez all game, and then it slowly changed to the point where kick it to Jack.
Yeah, that was great. And then I like how he kicked the 4th goal, and it just went, yep. Everyone knew that, like, oh yeah, he's done 4. That's good enough.
Yeah,
and just calmed down after that.
Yeah, I just love that it happened in the quarter where Cameron was held goalless. It happened in the quarter where Jez didn't kick any goals. Like, I really and actually let's sort of lead this as our first topic, because I think normally I feel like the forwards often get left to the end of our conversation or to Patreon, the sort of pointy end of things where the goals are being kicked. I don't actually feel like we often lead the show with that, but let's start it here, because I thought, obviously we can talk about Jezza, who kicked 6 goals despite, I think it's one of the best games anyone's played on him, in terms of Lockie Jones and others who had a crack. Like, they wore him so closely and he still kicks a half dozen. But, Jack Martin with his 4, Shannon Neal with his 3, and they kicked all their goals in the third term. Martin and Neal kicked 7 of the 9 goals in that quarter when Jezza was held. I just thought it took me back to some of those times where we had Hawkins, Cameron, and Rowan on fire at the same time. And that's without even mentioning Stengel, who kicked 2 goals, 3, and had 2 goal assists, or Dangerfield, who had 1 goal, 1, and 5 goal assists. Sambo, I'll come to you first, and then your thoughts, Johnny. But Port Adelaide's backline, they actually played pretty well. How do you feel about the game in the forward line from the Cats? Like, what elements pleased you the most? Some stats here for you, that we took 8 contested marks to Port's 1 in their defensive 50. And I thought that pointed to our ability to not only take the marks, but prevent them from taking some. Like, we were able to contest and bring the ball to ground, and we actually managed to create some sort of messy goals for ourselves. But what do you think? Is this translatable to other opposition? What did you think of the forward line's performance, Sambo and then Johnny?
I think it is translatable. I think, part of it is, I don't know Port's structure that well, but I think their backline is one of the less pillaged departments. They do have outs, but compared to it's probably their midfield that's been the most gutted by injury. So I think the backline, it's not a defense to be just sniffed at out of order. But I mean, marking wise, we obliterated them in everything to do with marking. Contested marks overall, not just in the 50s, 17-2. Marks inside 50, 29-6. That's brutal. And marks overall, 127-66. And also our tackles inside 50, they did quite well. They laid 12, which is also a really good. That's about our benchmark that we like to hit. Just so it happens that we laid 15. Sorry, 50. My God, 15 tackles inside 50 is what I'm trying to say. And those 2 stats that we've taken to looking at over the last month, tackles inside 50, check, and bounces 9-2, check. The all important bounces. But it's true. I mean, Holmes was probably 7 of those bounces. And I think Stengel took 1 at one point. But yeah, I think our forwards are really starting to sort of operate together in a really good way. Like, I think you see flashes of what we've seen all year in that game. You see flashes of Cameron kicking a bag. you see flashes of some of those other guys having to contribute, whereas we've had games where they've had to do that all day. And then you see flashes of Dangerfield just causing absolute havoc in parts. And I kind of like that Dangerfield was able to do that, but it wasn't like go to woe. It wasn't like every delivery was sailing in high and Dangerfield was just smashing the pack and seeing what, like, it felt like we were giving a really good look to all our different avenues. And that was just causing Port real headaches because, you know, they were doing pretty well to keep Cameron, and then you have Martin and these other guys pop up and start kicking a bag, and you have to start putting attention to other guys, and then Cameron gets off the chain again towards the back end of the game. So I think even the best defense will keep us to less goals than this. But if we can emulate this approach, this varied sort of approach, I think the best defense will have a really hard time, and it will just be a matter of minutes before the levy breaks, really. Because I feel like we saw it all. I think we saw running in goals, we saw set shot goals, we saw, as you said, some scrappy at the back goals. We saw those cut back deliveries. Myers did some beautiful ones, but there was a couple maybe from Humphreys as well when he pushed further up the ground. A couple of little like dinky kicks just over the top to an easy mark, or running down the flank and cutting it back towards the edge of the 50. And that's basically more or less. Again, we can't take too much out of belting Port by this margin, but we can take a lot out of the fact that I feel like they're starting to give us everything we ask for when we start nitpicking. It's a bit like Smith earlier in the year. We were nitpicking and he started to sort of flesh out. I feel like the team's the same. I thought that we'll probably get to the back line, but yeah, I thought they were good. But that delivery inside 50 was really varied and just an absolute nightmare as a defense to know whether you which side of your man you're meant to be on, because you don't know which direction the ball's coming in and at what speed or height.
Johnny?
Sorry. I thought the forward line worked a treat, like sensational. The delivery, as Sam said, was excellent, like so varied and also very to the point. There wasn't too many high ones, but if they were high, they were directed a lot better. There was still a few intercepts by Port Adelaide, but that's going to happen. Where Alialia it was all in that first half, though, I felt, where Alialia, Lockie, whatever his name is, and those other Port players I can't remember. I thought that
Lockie
defense
Jones
felt like they were set up well, and then as the game went on, and the Cats just got better at controlling the ball and getting inside 50, it really fell apart. And yeah, like to see Shannon Neal, Jack Martin dominate that forward line in that third quarter when Jeremy Cameron was a bit quiet was so pleasing to see, especially Shannon Neal, and to get those marks in front of us, those good screaming marks and high contested mark as well. Yeah, it's very pleasing to see that forward line in Shannon Neal's hands is probably going to be pretty safe once Cameron retires in a couple of years. I feel like it could be a couple of years for Cameron. He's playing well. He's looking fit. And Jack Martin as well. I think if Jack Martin can keep doing what he's doing at this rate, get a burst of 3-4 goals, even like 2 to 3 goals a game, I think the Cats forward line is going to be pretty happy. And we still got Oliver Henry to get back in form and come back in. Yeah, I think it worked exceptionally well, and it didn't seem like they were getting in each other's way. Dangerfield, I thought, was incredible. Like, just to watch him live in that forward line doing what he did against Port Adelaide was just incredible. Like his ability just to get the ball out of high contested areas to a player in free space is insane. But yeah, like Sam said, well worked, and deliveries were perfect, varied, and as I said, no one really got in each other's way, and it felt like the players knew who was on, and they just stayed away from that one player who was on.
Yeah, and I think you've both sort of hit on it. In terms of the multitude of weapons, I think that excites me. Like on the way home, I can't remember what radio station we were listening to, and they were talking about Geelong. It'd be nice if the midfield kicked a few more goals or whatever it was. But you kind of go, geez, like on the weekend to have all the forwards contribute. I mean, if Tyson Stengel kicked accurately, he could have had 4 goals, 1 instead of 2 goals, 3, and he definitely probably missed some gettable chances. To have so many players playing well, and as we said, you do have to, in the same way that we'll sometimes say, well, it's not all on the back line. Like, as in, like for Port, we can say that their back line is strong. We do have to take into account that the midfield isn't as strong defensively at the moment, and so the back line at times was left a bit exposed. But even having said that, I thought one of Port's best things was their pressure. I thought they did put us under a fair bit of pressure, even through the middle of the ground. The second half, it changed a lot. Like it opened up. But I thought that comes back to the running you talked about, Sambo. Max Holmes, you said 7 bounces. Perhaps he had 6 bounces. So you were right on it. He had 6. It was where are we? Brian Myers with 2 and Lawson Humphreys with 1. I thought once we ran at them a bit and broke lines, Max Holmes, Lawson Humphreys, we opened them up with a bit of speed. Even O'Shane Mullen at times, who I thought had a very good game, not only holding Zach Butters, but I think if you look statistically, they were almost had the same stat line. I think O'Shane had as many clearances as Zach Butters managed. They had 4 each. I think, Butters had 10 disposals, 2 tackles, 4 clearances. And for the Cats, Mullen had 10 disposals, didn't have a tackle, but had 4 clearances and goal assist. So, I mean, great work from O'Shane Mullen to shut down Butters. But yeah, no, the forward line excites me. I love the fact that I know Ollie Henry's not looking in the best of form right now, but I love the fact that we have an Ollie Henry on the list. The fact that, if someone does get injured or whatever, it's like, oh, well, sweet. We're not bouncing down to a rookie. We're bouncing back to a player who's currently out of form, but nearly won us a prelim with his goal kicking last season. You just don't know when, he might turn the corner again. So, no, I thought in the first half we did. I know. I thought we were second guessing, looking for Cameron all the time. I think we got back to playing a bit of normal footy. Yeah, there was just times where we'd get it and we'd go to kick, and it was like, oh, where's Jez? Maybe I could get it to him instead. And we probably just, I think we went back to a healthier balance in the second half, and they need to. I think in hindsight, the preference from me would be, don't worry about handing Jez his goals early, which we were so intent on doing. Let's destroy the opposition in the first half, and then when the second half opens up and the game's won, then feed it to him as much as you like. I do think it was on their minds a little bit. We mentioned the back line. And let's go there first. We'll do this in the reverse order. I feel like normally we go midfield, backline, forwards. Instead, let's go forwards, backline, mids. We'll leave the mids to last because I think there'll be a few in our votes. Let's go to the backline. I thought they've been getting back to some better form the last little while, like in terms of the intercepting and rebounding. Across the last 2 weeks, I don't think it's a coincidence that we've played like one of the worst teams in football and a team in Port that have no finals hopes. But I do think that you're seeing the whole band back together and building confidence. I thought the intercepting work was really good. Jack Henry, Zach Guthrie, they nabbed 3 intercept marks each, followed by O'Sullivan, Sam De Koning, and Lawson Humphreys with 2 each. Tom Stewart had 1. Intercept possessions, those players that I just mentioned, they racked up a combined 36 intercepts, while in contested marking, it was the flip of Port's backline. Our defenders took 8 contested marks to Port Adelaide's forwards 1. And then on the attacking side of things, Zach Guthrie and Lawson Humphreys, They combined for 14 score involvements. I'll come to you here first, Johnny, and then you, Sam. Just your thoughts on the back line. Was it particular players that stood out? Was it particular moments that stood out? What did you see on the weekend that you liked that could be translatable moving forward too?
Not anyone hugely stood out. There was a couple who did stand out, the usual suspects, I would say. And Zach Guthrie was exceptional. Sam de Koning, even though he did give away one free kick, which was a bit silly, but I still thought he played pretty well. And it felt like the back line has got back to that team defense mindset of, and they're not. It doesn't also feel like they're crashing into each other, trying to spoil the one player. And I still bring him back to having Sam de Koning back. I really feel like having him back has freed up Mark Blixavs, freed up Tom Stewart, Jack Henry, Zach Guthrie to go about their gameplay the way they know how to. And it's, yeah, I feel like you can really tell how much better it's working with STK back. He's just freed them up. I thought it was Tom Stewart's one of his probably better games this season. He didn't get I don't think he got a whole lot of it, but I thought when he did, he had some big impacts throughout the game where it felt like they were about to get through, and he just got a touch in, a smother in, or was just able to lay a really good tight tackle in a tight contest, or get a few intercepts. Thought he was back to his really better form. And yeah, so it just felt like the team-based defense was working really well, and they were able to think out the way to get out defense instead of sort of having those rush kicks where it's a bit panicky. Never felt like they were panicked. Never felt like they were rushed. Even with Port Adelaide's high pressure, it still felt like they had time to think through most contests. Yep, Port did get a couple of goals, snap goals, but I felt like they were pretty rare and few between. Overall, I just felt like the Cats' defense looked a lot more solid. Like, still needs a bit more work, obviously. You always need more work, but it feels like it's progressing in the right way and getting better. Like 3 more weeks against teams to really improve it before finals. Feels like everything's building up to a good final series.
Sambo?
Yeah, I agree. I think I made the point live to one of you or both of you that I felt like the defense was working really well. That they were working together. The way we were working it out, like you said, John, under pressure was, I think it is a hallmark of our defense. That's not necessarily something we've struggled with consistently. We've had ups and downs, but I think that is a part of it that's been on. But I thought it was, again, watching live, sometimes you just get a better sense of some of this stuff when you've got the pan back view, because you can see how much pressure, how much like that wave of opposition players coming. And so I feel like I gained so much more appreciation for the way the backs are able to pick out the path out of it, because you can see the whole puzzle laid out in front of you. So I thought that was really, really good to see. So I can't necessarily say how better or worse it compares to the other games I've been watching on the broadcast, but I did note that the way they were working it under pressure out of the back line, not always bombing it to like an inevitable Port player waiting on the arc to take a mark, which I think it can happen. There was probably only one time there was one mark there with no one on him, and you sort of saw a bit of a discussion briefly sort of happened between the back line. I saw Smith had got back there and he looked around and raised his arms a little bit, and there was a bit of a chat between 3 or 4 of them, and they cleared up what had happened there, and then it didn't happen again. So I think their communication's working really well. I think their structure's really good. Obviously, they had a lot of time between presses to restructure up. If you're getting more of an inside 50 return entry pressure, that can, obviously these things start to struggle then. But I thought it was really good. I did think Tom Stewart was of note. Like, I wouldn't have necessarily pulled him out as our best defender of the night, but then when you look at it, you kind of go, statistically, he may have been. 21 disposals. That's that's pretty good.
Yeah.
That's a good amount of the ball. Only 309 meters gained, but he was reasonably handball heavy, so he must have been involved in some of those changes. 12 kicks to 9 handballs, 7 marks. I think three or four. Sorry, it was 2 tackles. And he led the game for intercept possessions, I believe. Let me just fact check myself. He did equal game high with Zach Guthrie and Max Holmes and Delia. So and he went at 90% disposal efficiency too. So yeah, for the again, as we've said before, the reports of his demise have been greatly exaggerated. He's not necessarily 100% the player he was 3 years ago, but that's perfectly natural. And he's far from being a player that's in the way or somehow letting the side down. Like I think his impact is huge on the players around him and the the opposition players around him. I concur with you, Johnny, about SDK. I think he liberates the rest of the back lines players really well. Jack Henry was really solid, and
Great mark.
yeah, fantastic mark. Would have loved to actually get Lawson Humphreys in my votes. A couple of things held him back a little bit, but I thought he was really good. I thought he was good when he was playing his normal role. I loved when he pushed up. He ran around, had a run around in the middle. He ended up in the opposite 50 arc for a little bit here and there. As I think we mentioned it last week, I love when he's able to run too. He's just another one we can add to that sort of particular tool belt of a player that if they've got a little bit of space in front of them, he can really open it up and cover some ground. So yeah, I thought the whole back line operated really well. O'Connor was solid, and as you guys have mentioned, O'Sheen, who's not necessarily a backline, but in a defensive conversation, O'Sheen was absolutely incredible.
Just on Tom Stewart, I just noticed in terms of games that he's actually finished the full 4 quarters, this was his lowest time on ground percentage of the season, 72%, which makes me wonder a couple of things. He did cop a knock, or was he injured in the St Kilda game? He didn't finish the game on the park in that match. You just wonder if it's a game like this, you just take the opportunity to rotate him. Johnny and I talked on the way on the drive home about how Zach Guthrie too has really stepped in to fill some of that sort of swashbuckling Tom Stewart fly around, intercept and rebound kind of role. But Chaps, just a couple of things on, I thought Jack Henry was exceptional. I'm gonna talk about him in my votes, but Sam De Koning, we touched on it last week, I think on the Patreon part of the show, and that was his contested defensive one-on-one work. And I've seen some talk about people saying, that he's not, he's not a defender. We've got to try him somewhere else or whatever, which to me just doesn't ring true. But then even you look at it statistically. So this year, he has now faced, I'm just waiting for my computer to load it up. He has now faced 30, I have to hit the old refresh button here. He has faced, I think it's 31 contested defensive one-on-ones. And only lost 4 of them this year. So that's a 12% loss rate. To compare that to him last season he was losing 30% of his contested defensive one-on-ones. So that's a huge drop. He gets a lot of spoils. I think he is good when he's in those one-on-one situations. I think like every player, like every defender, he has his weaknesses. He has his parts of his game, that, on the need for constant improvement. But I don't know, saying that he's not a key part of the back line, I think, probably just re-examine it a bit. You watch his one-on-one work, you watch his spoiling work. He's very, very good. He's easily the lowest in terms of percentage of contested defensive one-on-ones lost in the Cats team, and he's in terms of average for the season. He has more spoils than Connor O'Sullivan, who's the leader in total spoils. So no, I thought he was very good. And yeah, Johnny and I, we also spoke. We said Connor O'Sullivan. How crazy is it? He had played one game last year and he's become a locked-on starter in 2025. Like, you sort of can't almost imagine the back line without him. So pretty crazy. All right, let's move on to some votes. Sambo, then Johnny, then me. How did you vote, chaps?
I've got to remind myself here. No, I remember. I chopped and changed a little bit. Honestly, it feels real basic, bitch. My 2 and 3, but that's just what you get. Sometimes it's just how it looks. So my 1 is actually going to Shannon Neal.
Nice.
There was like a dozen players who I could have given the 1 to. Probably some more obvious ones. Jack Martin almost got it just for that 5-minute stretch. Jack Henry almost got it. Lawson Humphries almost got it.
Fair enough.
But I just thought, again, I'm just continually impressed with Shannon's professionalism and the way he toes the line of the culture. I do think he's one of those that next crop of dudes that's gonna push that forward and show people not only how to be good at football, but how to be a good footballer, and part of the best club in the world. His disposal efficiency was great, 86.7 from 16 disposals. He led the game for tackles inside 50 with 3. He was in the top 10 for intercept possessions. He was equal third on the ground for score involvements. Kicked the 3 goals, obviously. I think he was equal second, on the ground for contested marks. I'm just really, really starting to like what he does. Sorry, I don't know if I'm meant to do a blurb now or not, but my other guys I think are going to be the same, so I might as well.
That's good.
Talk about him now. I'm just really liking the way he goes about it. I think his kick has become so dependable. It was actually a shock when he missed that one, which is cool.
Yeah.
You don't have to go far back to when he was that player that was like, oh, he's sweating buckets. He's like, he's going to drop the ball. It's going to come off his boot funny. So it's really, really cool to see. He had 6 tackles overall. 3 of them inside 50.
Yeah.
And another 3. His probably only blemish on his game really was his the ruck work. When he got thrown into the ruck, I thought we looked clearly weaker in that area. Not that we covered ourselves in glory in that area at all. I think we got absolutely smashed in the hitouts. But I did feel like Stanley and then Blix were both just more dynamic in the ruck. Shannon, I think, is obviously very inexperienced in that area, so I don't love it when he's thrust in there. But yeah, that's all those reasons on why he gets my 1. I just really like the way he goes about it. My 2 was Bailey Smith. I don't think Smith did anything exceptional by his standards, but his standards are so high that he can have a game like this, where he gets 30 touches, 500 plus meters gained, second on the ground for tackles, maybe third on the ground, but first in the team for tackles. First on the ground, but first on the team for clearances. And he comes away not looking phenomenal. And then my 3 goes to Maxi Holmes.
Nice. Like it. My 1, I've been chopping and changing as well between 2 players, but I've decided on who it is going to go to. I just decided now. I'm going to give my 1 to Zach Guthrie. I just thought he was exceptional, as I said earlier. It was between him and SDK, and I just remember Zach Guthrie doing a little bit more, like those few intercepts that we saw live. Like, yeah, he just reads the ball exceptionally well. I think there was 2 on the right-hand side of when Port Adelaide were kicking outside 50, and they kicked it, and he just saw Zach Guthrie sprinting, and I was like, yeah, he's got this. And both times he just intercepted it perfectly, sent it back inside 50, and I think possibly a couple of goals or set us up for another goal or another chance at least anyway. And just his ability to read and watch him live, you really get the idea of what he's able to do and what he can do and how he's just improved his game from when he was, people were saying he shouldn't be in the side, need to get rid of him, to him now being one of our most important players. Like, yeah, it's been great to watch his progression, and yeah, just so exciting to see what he brings to this team. Giving my 2 votes to Brian Myers, 30 disposals, high for him. Just exceptional game. A goal as well to go with it. Probably should have had 2, and probably just missed that one running into goal. But yeah, Brian Myers game. Really Brian Myers-like game where he was just pretty much everywhere and using the ball pretty well. Haven't got his disposals efficient there. To find the advanced one. What did he go at? Brian Myers, where are you? It's always away.
He mustn't be near the top or bottom. Then he must be somewhere in the middle.
Must be somewhere in the middle, man. I can't find him.
He'd stand out here.
63.
63%. Oh.
0.3, yeah.
At the same time.
So yeah, also it was a good game by Brian Myers. Pretty exceptional as always. And then I'm giving my 3 to Max Holmes as well. Like, ridiculously good.
Yeah, very interesting. I was just looking at some of the hit out stats. Sambo, you were talking about Shannon Neal, and the Cats. Yeah, it did look like an area where we probably lacked a little bit. I thought we looked best probably for the game when Blixarves.
Yeah. 58
in the ruck.
Hit outs to Port Adelaide, 26 for us. And yet we led clearances, centre clearances, and stoppage clearances.
I don't know, the I think we've talked about it before on the pod. Like, the hit outs almost mean nothing. Like, because even you look at hit outs to advantage, Port Adelaide had 16 hit outs to advantage. We had 5. So I don't know. The hit outs are just so, it just doesn't seem like that important of a stat to win.
Just wait till we get Conway.
Well, yeah, mate, and look, maybe that is a case where it does matter. If you've got a good midfield, if you've got a good stoppage setup, and then you add in a really good tap work ruckman, maybe that can be a bit different, where you've got quality around him, and then you've got quality from that ruck. It does play to your advantage, but I don't know. Doesn't seem like a huge correlation. Maybe someone who understands, more of that. But like it seems like in some ways you're almost doomed if you dominate the hitouts. The other ruck just starts playing defensively, and their mids just start reading your tap instead. So it's just sort of like, you're damned if you do. Sometimes you better just stay down, or read the opposition's sort of tap paths and that sort of thing. But anyway, my 1 vote I gave to, and this is a tough one. I actually was going to give my 1 vote to Sam de Koning, but I thought John was going to give his 1 vote to Sam de Koning. So I pivoted and went to Jack. That's all right. I pivoted and went to Jack Henry. And at the end of the day, we gave Sam de Koning some love in our chat here. So I went with Jack Henry, who I think had the argument to be the best defender on the ground. And the stats that I look at for that, for me, is he had, not so much that the disposals matter, but for what it's worth, he had 11 disposals, 10 of them were effective. He had 3 intercept marks, which was equal game high. He faced 4 contested defensive one-on-ones. He lost 1 of them. He was equal game high for spoils. 1 clanger, 0 turnovers. He was just one of 2 Cats to not have a turnover for the game. Jeremy Cameron was the other one. Jack Henry's, and I can't believe it, but Jack Henry is actually still underrated as a key back in this Geelong team. Like, I think if you polled Cats fans, there's a lot of Cats fans who would still say, "Oh, look, I think we can cover. I think we can cover Jack Henry if he's out." I know Jack Henry he's exceptional. He is so strong. He reads the ball so well. He's so reliable. So I gave him 1 vote, but as you said, Sam, you could easily have given it to about 12 players. My 2 votes went to Bailey Smith. I love watching Bailey Smith live at the ground. His work rate, you see it on TV in terms of you see him get in position to get possessions, but sometimes on TV that can come across as, oh, Bailey keeps getting these cheap handballs or whatever. The way he works and runs to get in position to get the footy, when you're at the ground and you can watch where he might start and where he ends up getting the ball, he is tireless. He is such a tireless runner. And I'll just say too, we're going to talk about the midfield a bit more in the Patreon. Like this year, we've got, I think it's 3 players averaging 5 or more clearances per game. In terms of total clearances last season, we didn't have anyone go past 90. And we've already got, I think, 3 players. I think we've got 3 players on track to go close to 100 in Atkins, Smith, and Holmes off the top of my head. So pretty outstanding there. My 3 votes, though, go to the Chris Judd of the hoops. Like Max Holmes, I've said it before on the pod. I loved watching Chris Judd in those early 2000s West Coast teams. The way he would take off, the way the hair would be trying to escape his scalp at high speed. Like he's insane. The ease with which he shifts through gears and just takes off and makes other professional athletes look slow. And this is like the complete Max Holmes game. 30 odd touches, 2 goals, which shows his damage up forward. He's a superstar. And I think you could make a fairly compelling argument that he is Geelong's best player on their list. I think he'd be right in that handful. If you grabbed 5 players and we went and had a conversation about it, I think I would be willing to stake my flag in the Max Holmes camp. He's an absolute freak. So, 3 votes for him. That is all from the public part of the show. We're going to duck over now to Patreon. We will talk a bit more about the midfield because I had some notes and stats to share there. The lads might have a few extra bits and bobs to talk about as well. We'll talk a little bit about the AFLW, who played their last practice match of the preseason, and then we'll have an early look at Geelong v the Bombers. So thanks very much for watching. Thanks very much for listening. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. We'd love for you to do that. And until next time, go fuck yourselves and go the Mighty Cats.
Go Cats.
Go the Cats.
Oh, that potty mouth, Jake.
I mean it in a positive way.